Hey, beautiful souls! Welcome back to the channel. Or if you're new here, welcome to your new favorite storytelling escape. Before we dive into today's emotional roller coaster, do me a quick favor. Drop a comment telling me what country you're listening from. I love seeing our global family grow. And if you're ready for a story about second chances, dangerous love, and secrets that could destroy everything, hit that subscribe button right now. Trust me, you'll want to be here for this one. All right, let's get into it. The story begins. The wine glass exploded against the marble floor. Crimson liquid spread like blood across white stone, shards glittering under the chandelier's light. Kang Min-jun didn't even blink. He'd orchestrated executions with less theatrics than this socialite's meltdown at the charity auction. But he wasn't watching the spectacle. He was watching her. Across the grand ballroom of Busan's most exclusive hotel, through designer silks and diamond-dripping necks, through 5 years of deliberately forgetting, there she was, Imani Brooks, the woman who'd shattered him more completely than any glass ever could. She wore sapphire blue tonight, the color she'd always said made her feel invincible. Her natural curls were pulled back in an elegant style that exposed her collarbone. The collarbone he used to trace with his lips in the early morning light of his penthouse. "Sir," his bodyguard's voice cut through the memory. "The woman. Should I have her removed?" Min-jun's jaw clenched. No, because Imani wasn't causing the scene. She was trying to disappear into the wall, shoulders hunched, face carefully blank. She was terrified of the crowd, of the attention, of him. Their eyes met across 60 feet of Korea's elite. Her face drained of color. Then she turned and walked straight toward the exit. Fast, deliberate. Exactly like she'd done 5 years ago when she'd walked out of his life without a single word of explanation. Min-jun set down his untouched champagne and made a decision that would change everything. "Follow her," he told his guard, "but don't approach. I want to know where she's staying, who she's meeting, every breath she takes in this city." As Imani vanished through the gilded doors, Min-jun felt something he'd thought he'd killed wake up in his chest. Hope tangled with fury. The dangerous combination that made intelligent men do catastrophically stupid things. The woman who destroyed him was back in Busan, and this time, she wouldn't disappear without giving him answers. 5 years earlier, Imani had walked into his life at a contemporary art exhibition in Hyundai. Min-jun had been there for business. The gallery owner owed him money, and Kang Min-jun always collected his debts. She'd been there for the art, standing before a massive canvas like it held the secrets of the universe. "It's about grief," she'd said without looking at him. "The artist is painting the space where something used to be, the absence, not the presence." "How do you know?" Min-jun had asked, intrigued despite himself. "Because I know what absence looks like." She'd turned then, and Min-jun forgot entirely why he'd come. "You're Kang Min-jun. I've heard stories." "Believe half of them." "Which half?" "The dangerous half." She should have walked away. Instead, she'd smiled, bright, reckless, utterly fearless. "Good thing I'm not easily scared." That was the beginning. Coffee turned into dinner. Dinner turned into late nights at his apartment overlooking Gwangali Beach, talking about everything except what he actually did for a living. She was an art curator from Chicago, in Busan, for a year-long cultural exchange program. Smart, passionate, unafraid to challenge him when he retreated into cold silence. "You use silence as a weapon," she told him once, poking his chest. "Stop it, I'm not afraid of you." She should have been. 3 months in, Min-jun realized he loved her, the terrifying, inconvenient kind of love that made him imagine things he'd sworn off. Marriage, family, vulnerability, a life beyond the empire he'd built in blood and secrets. He'd been planning to tell her everything, to lay out exactly who he was and what he did, then give her a choice. Stay knowing the truth, or leave safely with his blessing. But before he could, she vanished, left Busan without a word, changed her number, erased herself so completely, it was like she'd never existed. Now, standing in his office watching security footage of her fleeing the auction, Min-jun tried to reconcile the woman he'd loved with the ghost who'd abandoned him. His phone buzzed. His investigator. She's staying at the Park Hyatt, checked in 4 days ago. Alone. Alone. The word settled strangely in his chest. He'd imagined her married by now, building a safe, normal life with someone who wasn't him. How long is she staying? Unknown. No return flight booked. Min-jun stared out at Busan's glittering skyline. 5 years. He'd told himself he was over her. 5 years of building his empire higher, colder, more ruthlessly efficient. All of it crumbling because she'd walked into a ballroom wearing sapphire blue. He should leave her alone. Let the past stay buried. Instead, he sent a message to the hotel's general manager, someone who owed him more favors than he could count. The woman in suite 1203. I want to know everywhere she goes, everyone she meets. Do not approach her. Just watch. Then he poured whiskey he didn't want and waited for morning, when he'd decide what kind of man he'd become. The forgiving kind, or the kind who made people pay for the scars they'd left behind. Imani's hands trembled as she unlocked her hotel room. The keycard slipped twice before the light blinked green. She'd known returning to Busan was dangerous, but she'd thought 5 years was enough time. Thought the city was large enough to avoid him. She'd thought wrong. The moment their eyes met across that ballroom, every carefully constructed wall collapsed. 5 years of therapy, of moving forward, of convincing herself she'd made the right choice. Gone in an instant. Because Min-jun looked exactly the same. Sharp suit, sharper eyes, that dangerous stillness that made people nervous without understanding why. Except something was different, harder, like he'd taken whatever warmth existed inside him and frozen it deliberately. She'd done that. Her leaving had done that. Imani's phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Miss Brooks. A woman's voice, professional. This is hotel security. We wanted to inform you there's been a minor security concern in the building. Nothing serious, but we'll have additional personnel monitoring the floors for guest safety. Imani's stomach dropped. What kind of security concern? Just a precaution, ma'am. Have a pleasant evening. The line went dead. She wasn't stupid. A year in Busan before had taught her how power worked in this city, how men like Min-jun operated. He was already watching her. Imani sat on the bed, pressing her palms against her eyes. She should leave, book the next flight to Chicago, disappear again like before. But she couldn't. Not this time. Because the reason she'd come back to Busan, the reason she'd risked everything, wasn't something she could run from anymore. In the bathroom, she pulled a folder from her luggage. Medical records, test results, oncologist recommendations. Stage 3, aggressive, treatable with immediate intervention. The best specialist in the world for her specific type of breast cancer, practiced in Busan. She delayed treatment for 4 months, paralyzed by fear of returning to the city. But eventually, fear of dying outweighed fear of seeing Min-jun again. Except now she'd seen him. And the look on his face, controlled rage mixed with something that looked dangerously like longing, told her he hadn't forgiven anything, which meant she had 2 battles now, one for her life, one for her past. Imani wasn't sure which one terrified her more. Min-jun's investigator delivered the report at dawn. Imani's movements for the past 4 days, cross-referenced with security footage and credit card receipts. One location appeared repeatedly. Busan National University Hospital. Oncology Department. Min-jun stared at the word until it stopped making sense. Oncology. Cancer. Do we know specifics? His voice came out rougher than intended. No, sir. Patient records are sealed, but she's been consulting with Dr. Park Ji-hai, one of the top oncologists in Asia. specializes in aggressive breast cancers. Min-jun dismissed the investigator and sat alone with information that rewrote everything. She hadn't come back for him, hadn't come back to apologize or explain or ask forgiveness. She'd come back sick, desperate, with nowhere else to turn. And he'd been planning petty revenge like a wounded child. His phone showed 6:47 a.m. Imani's next appointment was at 10 o'clock. He had 3 hours to decide what kind of man he was. The kind who helped a dying woman, despite what she'd done. Or the kind who let her suffer the way she'd made him suffer. Min-jun looked at his reflection in the floor-to-ceiling windows. The dragon tattoo on his shoulder blade, symbol of the empire he'd built from nothing, seemed to mock him. "You've already decided," his reflection whispered. "You're going to help her, because despite everything, you never stopped loving her." He hated that the reflection was right. At 9:15 a.m., Min-jun made a call. "Dr. Park, this is Kang Min-jun. I understand you have a patient named Imani Brooks. Yes, I'm aware of confidentiality laws. I'm calling to ensure she receives the absolute best care available. Cost is irrelevant." "No, she doesn't know I'm calling. I'd prefer to keep it that way." After hanging up, Min-jun poured his 4th coffee and stared at Busan waking up beyond his windows. Somewhere in this city, the woman who'd broken his heart was fighting for her life, alone in a foreign country, surrounded by a language she'd learned but never mastered. The woman who'd run 5 years ago now had nowhere left to run. And Min-jun was about to insert himself into her life, whether she wanted him there or not. Because some things mattered more than pride. And apparently, even after 5 years of silence, Imani Brooks was still one of them. Before we continue, if you're feeling this story, hit that like button. And seriously, please and please subscribe because the twist coming up is insane. You don't want to miss it. Subscribe to this channel, drop a comment. Team, he should forgive her, or team, make her suffer? Let's see where you stand. Okay, back to the story. Imani sat in the sterile consultation room, filling out forms in Korean that made her head pound. "Miss Brooks?" A nurse appeared. "Dr. Park will see you now." The consultation room was different from her previous visits. Larger, better equipment visible through an adjoining door that hadn't been there before. Dr. Park greeted her warmly. "Miss Brooks, I have excellent news. We've secured you a spot in our advanced treatment program. Usually there's an 8-month waiting list, but a space opened up." Imani blinked. "I don't understand. Last week you said—" "Things change." Dr. Park smiled. "Medical opportunities arise. The program is fully funded. You'll receive the best care available at no cost." "That's not possible. I didn't apply for any charity program or a benefactor." Dr. Park's expression was practiced. Too practiced. "They wish to remain anonymous. The program covers everything. Chemotherapy, radiation if needed, post-treatment care." Imani's mind raced. An anonymous benefactor in Busan who knew about her condition, who had enough power to bypass 8-month waiting lists and cover costs that would bankrupt most people. One name surfaced. Impossible and yet inevitable. Min-jun. "I need time to think about it," Imani managed. "Of course, but Miss Brooks," Dr. Park's expression turned serious. "Don't wait too long. Your cancer is aggressive. Time is the one thing we can't buy back." Back at the hotel, a package waited at reception. Hotel stationery, expensive pen, a single note in English. "Accept the treatment. We'll discuss everything else after you're healthy." K. Her hands shook holding the paper. He knew. Somehow, Min-jun knew about the cancer, and he was helping her despite everything. Despite her leaving, despite 5 years of silence. Why? Imani pulled out her phone, stared at the contact she'd saved but never called. His number had probably changed. 5 years was a long time. It rang. Her heart stopped. Imani. His voice was deeper than she remembered. Don't hang up. How did you know about the cancer? I know everything that happens in Busan. You should remember that. The treatment program? Take it, get healthy, then we'll talk. Min-jun, I can't accept this. It's too much. You can. Steele entered his voice. You will. 5 years ago, you left without explanation. I've earned answers. But I can't get them if you're dead. The bluntness made her flinch. This doesn't mean anything except I'm keeping you alive long enough to tell me why you ran. A pause. Take the treatment, Imani, please. The please broke her, because Kang Min-jun didn't beg, didn't plead. He commanded, conquered, controlled. Okay, she whispered. Good, my driver will collect you Monday morning. 7 a.m., be ready. Min-jun, wait. But he'd already disconnected. Imani sat on the hotel bed, note in one hand, phone in the other. She'd come to Busan to save her life. She hadn't expected her past to be the one trying to save it. But Min-jun's help came with a price, answers, truth, explanations that would destroy the careful distance she'd built. Monday she'd start treatment, and eventually she'd have to tell him why she really left. The truth that would either free them both or condemn her completely. Monday arrived cold and gray, typical Busan winter. Min-jun's driver, a man named Jae-sung, whom Imani vaguely remembered, waited outside the hotel at exactly 7 a.m. Miss Brooks, he bowed slightly. I'll be handling your transportation during treatment. Mr. Kang's orders. Jae-sung, you don't have to. With respect, I do. The boss was very clear. His expression softened. It's good to see you again, Miss Brooks, even under these circumstances. The hospital was across the city. Busan's morning traffic gave them 45 minutes of awkward silence. Finally, Imani asked, How is he? Really? Jae-sung's eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. Different. After you left, he became colder, more focused on expansion, less interested in anything that didn't involve profit or eliminating competition. I didn't mean to hurt him. With respect, ma'am, your intentions don't erase the damage. He loved you. You disappeared. That changes a man. The words hit like physical blows. Does he hate me? I think he wishes he could. Would be easier than what he actually feels. Jae-sung pulled up to the hospital entrance. You'll have to ask him yourself, Miss Brooks. Treatment was brutal. 4 hours of tests, consultations, explaining her medical history in a mixture of Korean and English that left her mentally exhausted. Dr. Park was thorough, compassionate, clearly brilliant at her job. We'll start chemotherapy next week. The regimen is aggressive but highly effective for your cancer type. Your benefactor has ensured you'll have private rooms, the newest medications, anything you need. Can I ask, does he know details about my prognosis? No, I wouldn't share that even if he demanded it. Dr. Park's expression turned kind. But Miss Brooks, whoever this person is, they care deeply about your recovery. Let them help. Pride is expensive. Life is priceless. After the consultation, Imani expected Jae-sung to drive her back to the Ehad's hotel. Instead, he took her to a high-rise apartment building in Haeundae, overlooking Gwangali Beach. She recognized the area, Min-jun's building, different apartment, higher floor, but the same breathtaking view of Busan spreading beneath them like a promise. He's waiting on the terrace, Jae-sung said quietly. I'll be downstairs when you're ready. The apartment was elegant, minimalist, expensive. Nothing personal visible except a single photograph on the bookshelf that made Imani's breath catch. It was them. 5 years ago, at that art exhibition where they'd met. She was laughing at something he'd said, and he was looking at her like she'd hung every star in the sky. He'd kept it. I should have thrown it away. Imani spun around. Min-jun stood in the terrace doorway, silhouetted against the afternoon light. But I couldn't, he continued, voice carefully neutral. Tried 100 times. Always put it back. Min-jun? Thank you for coming. He gestured to the terrace. Sit. Eat. You need strength for treatment. Outside, the table was set with Korean dishes she'd loved 5 years ago. Bulgogi, kimchi jjigae, japchae. He'd remembered everything. They ate in tense silence, the ocean wind carrying salt and unspoken words between them. Finally, Imani couldn't take it anymore. Why are you doing this? Which part? The treatment, the apartment, the food. All of it I don't deserve. No. His voice turned sharp. You don't get to decide what you deserve. 5 years ago, you made that choice for both of us. You decided I didn't deserve an explanation. Decided you didn't deserve to stay. So forgive me if I don't trust your judgment on what anyone deserves. The rawness in his voice made her throat tighten. I'm helping you, Min-jun continued, because you're sick, because you're alone in my city, because despite everything, He stopped, jaw clenching. Get healthy first, then we'll discuss the past. We need to talk now. You deserve to know why I deserve you alive. His hands gripped the table edge, knuckles white. Everything else can wait. Do you understand? I need you alive first. And there it was. Beneath the anger, beneath the cold control, fear. Raw, desperate fear that she'd die before giving him closure. I'm not dying, Imani said softly. Dr. Park says the treatment has good success rates. I'm going to be fine. Stage 3 has variable outcomes. I researched extensively. His eyes met hers, and she saw the sleepless nights written there. So, yes, we need you alive, healthy, cancer-free. Then, and only then, do we talk about why you destroyed me without explanation. Imani wanted to reach across the table, take his hand, tell him everything right now. But another wave of nausea from the morning's tests hit, and she pressed a hand to her mouth. Min-jun was up immediately, supporting her to the bathroom, holding her hair back as she was sick. When it passed, he handed her water without a word. You don't have to do this, she whispered. I know. He helped her to the bedroom. Rest. Jae-sung will take you back to the hotel when you're ready. Or, he hesitated. Or you could stay here. This apartment is yours if you want it. Closer to the hospital. Quieter than the hotel. Safer. Min-jun, I can't. You can. He moved toward the door. Think about it. Either way, treatment starts next week. Be ready. After he left, Imani collapsed on the bed that smelled faintly of cedar and expensive cologne. She should refuse, should maintain distance. But she was so tired. Tired of being alone. Tired of being strong. Tired of carrying secrets that grew heavier every day. Maybe just for treatment, she could let Kang Min-jun take care of her. Let him have this much. Then when she was healthy, she'd tell him everything. Why she ran. What she'd been protecting him from. The truth that would either heal them or destroy what little remained. For now, she let herself sink into the comfort he offered and pretended it didn't come with complications she couldn't afford. 3 weeks into treatment, Imani's hair started falling out. She'd expected it, prepared for it, still cried in the shower as thick curls came loose in her hands, swirling down the drain like pieces of herself disappearing. The doorbell rang while she stood there, wrapped in a towel, staring at the evidence of her body's betrayal. Min-jun didn't wait for her to answer. He had a key. Of course he did. It was his apartment. He found her in the bathroom, tears streaming silently. I'm fine, she said immediately. It's stupid. I knew it would happen. It's not stupid. He grabbed a towel, gentle hands steadying her. Come on, I brought someone. In the living room, a black woman waited. Older, warm smile, carrying a professional-looking case. Imani, this is Nicole. She specializes in head wraps and wigs for women going through chemotherapy. I thought. Min-jun looked genuinely uncertain. I thought, you might want options. Imani stared at him. You brought me a head wrap specialist? I researched. After chemotherapy, many Black women prefer wraps or natural-looking wigs. I wanted to ensure you had choices that felt right. He was actually nervous. If this is overstepping, tell me and I'll... It's perfect. Imani's voice cracked. Thank you. Nicole spent 3 hours with her, teaching wrap techniques, showing wig options that accommodated natural hair texture, talking about self-care and dignity during treatment, like they were old friends. Your man did his homework, Nicole said in English, winking. Most partners just buy whatever's cheapest. He specifically asked for someone who understood Black hair. Called me weeks ago. He's not my... We're complicated. Honey, the complicated ones are always worth keeping. Nicole adjusted a gorgeous purple wrap on Imani's head. He's been calling me for 3 weeks. Wanted everything perfect for when you needed it. 3 weeks. He'd been planning this since she'd arrived in Busan. After Nicole left, Imani found Min-jun on the terrace, staring at the ocean like it held answers. She wore the purple wrap now, and it made her skin glow despite her exhaustion. Thank you, she said quietly, for today, for all of this. It's practical. You need confidence during treatment. Physical appearance affects mental state, which affects recovery. Min-jun? He finally looked at her. What? You're allowed to say you care. You don't have to disguise kindness as strategy. Old habits. His jaw tightened. Caring makes you vulnerable. Vulnerability gets you hurt. Is that what I did, hurt you by caring? His expression shuddered completely. You hurt me by leaving. The caring was the easy part. Imani stepped closer. Dangerous territory. But treatment was making her brave, or reckless. I'm sorry for how I left, for not explaining, for making you think you weren't worth the truth. Then tell me now. Frustration leaked through his control. I'm funding your treatment, housing you, bringing in specialists. I've shown you I'm not your enemy. So why, Imani, why did you run? Because I loved you too much to stay. The words escaped before she could stop them. Min-jun went very still. That makes no sense. I know. She wrapped her arms around herself. But it's the truth. I loved you so much it terrified me. And when I found out what you really were, what you really did, I knew loving you meant choosing your world, becoming part of it, raising our children in it someday. And I couldn't... She broke off, chest tight. You couldn't what? I couldn't be strong enough for that life. So I ran before I got in too deep. Before I loved you so much that I'd choose you anyway, consequences be damned. Min-jun stared at her for a long moment, something unreadable moving across his face. You made my choice for me, he said finally, voice low. Decided I wasn't worth the risk? No. You decided what I could handle, what we could handle together. He stepped closer, and she could see the hurt beneath the anger now. You didn't trust me enough to let me decide if you were worth it. You don't understand. Then make me understand. His hand cupped her face, thumb brushing her cheek. Because right now, all I know is the woman I loved walked away without giving me a chance to fight for us. Imani closed her eyes, leaning into his touch despite herself. There's more, she whispered. Things I saw, things that scared me. I know what you saw. Her eyes flew open. What? The alley behind the gallery, 5 years ago. The 3 men. His expression didn't change. You told me, during your fever last week, you were delirious, talking about blood in alleys and being too much of a coward to stay despite loving me. Horror washed through her. I don't remember. I know, but you said enough. Min-jun's hand dropped from her face. You witnessed me eliminate 3 men who tried to steal from me. And instead of asking for my side, for context, for anything, you decided I was too dangerous to love. That's not fair. Isn't it? Bitterness edged his voice. You saw the worst moment of my life and ran. Didn't give me a chance to explain that those men had killed someone I loved, that I was avenging a death, not committing casual murder. You just left. Imani's world tilted. What? My younger sister. Min-jun's voice went flat. She was 19. Those men killed her when she witnessed them skimming money from my organization. Made it look like a random assault. I found out the truth 3 days before you saw me end them. Oh my God. So yes, I was brutal, efficient, cold, because I was eliminating the men who'd murdered my baby sister. His eyes met hers, devastated. And you saw that moment, the worst moment of my entire existence, and decided I was a monster not worth staying for. Tears streamed down Imani's face. I didn't know. Min-jun, I'm so sorry. I didn't. How could you? You didn't ask, didn't trust me enough to believe there might be more to the story. He turned away. You loved me, but not enough to fight for me. The accusation hung between them like a blade. You're right, Imani whispered. I was a coward. I saw something terrifying and I ran instead of trusting you, instead of believing in us. And now? Min-jun's back stayed turned. Now that you know the truth? Now I have stage 3 cancer and 5 years of regret. She moved beside him at the railing. And a man who's saving my life despite having every reason to let me suffer. I could never let you suffer. His voice cracked. That's the problem. Even after everything He stopped, but Imani heard what he didn't say. Even after everything, I still love you. Okay. I need you to pause and subscribe right now because the next part, the twist, it's going to wreck you emotionally. Also, drop a comment. Do you think she deserves forgiveness? Let's debate. All right, here we go. Week 6 of treatment hit differently. Imani woke to blood on her pillow, nosebleed from dangerously low platelets. The nausea was constant now. Even water tasted metallic and wrong. Your counts are low but manageable, Dr. Park said during the appointment. We're monitoring closely. Min-jun sat beside her, as he'd been doing for every appointment, absorbing information like he could fight cancer through sheer willpower. After Dr. Park left, Imani turned to him. You don't have to come to every appointment. I know you're busy. I've delegated. My second-in-command handles daily operations. Still, this isn't your responsibility? Then whose is it? His voice was sharp. You're alone in Busan. Your family is in Chicago. Did you even tell them you're sick? Imani looked away. They don't need to worry. So you're protecting everyone, your family from worry, me from whatever truth you're hiding. When do you let anyone actually help? I'm letting you help right now. Your body, yes, but not your heart, not your trust. Min-jun leaned forward. I could have retaliated when you came back, could have made your life hell. Do you know how many people told me to? Then why didn't you? Because I keep hoping you'll give me a reason that makes it all make sense. His eyes searched hers desperately. A reason that explains why the woman I loved chose to hurt me instead of trusting me. Before Imani could answer, Dr. Park knocked, returning with more test results. The moment passed, but that night, alone in the apartment Min-jun had given her, Imani made a decision. She pulled out her laptop, opened the encrypted files she'd kept for 5 years, photos, documents, evidence she'd compiled about Min-jun's organization after she'd witnessed the alley incident, bank records she'd found, business dealings she'd traced. She'd kept it as insurance, proof she'd had legitimate reasons to run. But looking at it now, after learning about his sister, after watching him care for her through cancer, with heartbreaking tenderness. It felt like a betrayal. Deleted, her conscience whispered. Her finger hovered over the button. Then her phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? Imani Brooks? A man's voice, American accent. My name is Marcus Chen. I'm a federal investigator with the U.S. Treasury Department. We need to talk about Kang Min-jun. Her blood ran cold. I don't know what... We know you were in a relationship with him 5 years ago. We know you left Busan suddenly. And we know you're back now, staying in an apartment he owns, receiving treatment he's funding. Papers rustled. We also have reason to believe you possess information about his organization's financial activities. I don't have anything. Miss Brooks, we can make things very difficult for you, or we can make them easy. Help us build a case against Kang Min-jun, and we'll ensure your treatment continues without complication. Refuse, and we'll flag your medical payments as potential money laundering. Your treatment will stop immediately while we investigate. Imani's hands shook. You can't, we can, and we will. Marcus Chen's voice turned cold. You have 72 hours to decide. Cooperate or lose everything. We'll be in touch. The line went dead. Imani stared at her laptop, at the evidence file still open on the screen. Evidence that could destroy Min-jun. Evidence that federal investigators now knew she possessed. She had 72 hours to choose between the man who was saving her life and the government that could end her treatment, between love and survival, between destroying Min-jun or destroying herself. And she had absolutely no idea what to do. Imani didn't sleep that night. By dawn, she'd made a decision that would change everything. She called Min-jun at 6 a.m. I need to see you, now, it's important. 30 minutes later, he arrived at the apartment, hair disheveled, concerned, written across his face. What happened? Is it the cancer? Did something... I need to tell you everything. Imani's voice was steady despite her terror. And you need to listen without interrupting, because if I stop, I won't be able to start again. Min-jun sat down slowly. All right. Imani took a breath and began. She told him about witnessing the alley incident, about the evidence she'd collected afterward, terrified and confused, about running because she'd loved him too much to reconcile the gentle man she knew with the brutal efficiency she'd witnessed. She told him about keeping the files, about the federal investigator's call, about the impossible choice they'd given her. They want me to testify against you, she finished, voice breaking. They said if I don't cooperate, they'll flag my treatment payments and shut everything down. I'll lose my only chance at beating this cancer. Min-jun's face was unreadable. And, he said quietly, and I'm telling you everything because I won't betray you. Tears streamed down Imani's face. Not again. Not even to save my own life. You've shown me more grace than I deserve. So I'm giving you a choice now. The choice I never gave you before. She pulled out her laptop, opened the evidence file, and turned it toward him. This is everything I collected. Bank records, photos, documents. Enough to hurt you badly if it reaches the wrong people. Her hands shook. You can take it. Destroy it. Destroy me if you need to. Or you can help me figure out how to protect both of us. But I won't go behind your back again. Whatever happens next, we decide together. The silence stretched impossibly long. Then Min-jun did something that shattered her completely. He closed the laptop without looking at it. Keep it, he said. What? Keep the files. I'm not going to destroy evidence or threaten you or any of the things you're terrified I might do. He cupped her face gently. You came back to Busan sick and alone, and I've spent weeks trying to keep you alive. Do you really think I'd destroy you now over files that might not even be relevant anymore? But the investigators? Let me handle them. His thumb brushed away her tears. You focus on getting healthy. I'll take care of the rest. Min-jun, you don't understand. They'll come after you. They've been trying to come after me for years. They have nothing concrete, which is why they're pressuring you. His expression turned calculating. But threatening a cancer patient to get information? That's leverage I can use. Leave it to me. I can't let you. Yes, you can. His forehead pressed against hers. Because that's what people who love each other do. They protect each other. They trust each other. Even when it's terrifying. Imani's breath caught. You still... After everything? I never stopped. Min-jun's voice was raw. Even when I wanted to hate you. Even when I tried to freeze you out. I never stopped loving you. That's why this hurts so much. That's why I couldn't just let you suffer. I love you too, Imani whispered. I never stopped either. I just got scared and... He kissed her. Gentle at first, then deeper. 5 years of longing and pain and desperate hope pouring between them. When they finally broke apart, both breathing hard, Min-jun rested his forehead against hers again. No more running, he said. No more secrets. We fight this together. The cancer, the investigators, everything. Together. Together, Imani agreed. And for the first time in 5 years, she felt like she could finally breathe. 3 weeks later, Marcus Chen sat in a Seoul police station, handcuffed to a table, watching his career implode in real time. You threatened a cancer patient. The Korean detective's voice was ice. Used her treatment as leverage to gather intelligence outside legal channels. That's extortion, Mr. Chen. International extortion. I had authorization. You had nothing. The detective slid a folder across the key table. Mr. Kang Min-jun provided us with recordings of your calls to Miss Brooks. Very illegal calls, might I add. Threatening to interfere with medical treatment. The U.S. Treasury will disavow you within the hour. Marcus Chen's face drained of color. Meanwhile, the detective continued, we've discovered something interesting about your investigation. You weren't actually building a case against Mr. Kang. You were trying to steal his business intelligence to sell to his competitors. Corporate espionage disguised as federal investigation. That's insane. We have emails, bank transfers, evidence that you've been working for the Huang Syndicate for 18 months. The detective smiled without warmth. Mr. Kang sends his regards. As Marcus Chen was led away in handcuffs, Min-jun watched from an observation room, Imani beside him. You set him up, she said, not quite a question. I protected us. Min-jun's hand found hers. He was never a real federal agent, just a corporate spy using your vulnerability to get to me. I made sure he'd never threaten anyone again. Is this what your life is always like? Chess games and counter moves and... Yes. He turned to face her fully. This is my world. It's dangerous, complicated, morally gray. Are you sure you want this? Because I won't trap you, Imani. If you want to leave after treatment ends, if you want a normal life somewhere safe, I'll let you go. I'll make sure you're protected, that you have everything you need, and I'll let you walk away. Imani stared at this man who'd saved her life, who'd fought for her, even when she'd given him every reason not to. I don't want normal, she said firmly. I want you, the real you. Empire, complications, moral grayness and all. No more running, no more pretending I can live without you. Even knowing what I am, what I do. Especially knowing. She stepped closer. Because I also know you're the man who brought me a head wrap specialist, who held my hair back while I was sick, who chose to protect me instead of destroying me when you had every reason for revenge. Imani. I love you, Min-jun, all of you, the dangerous parts, the gentle parts, everything. Her hand pressed against his chest, feeling his heartbeat. So, unless you're the one who wants to run... He kissed her, pulling her close, and Imani felt 5 years of regret dissolve into this perfect, complicated, absolutely right moment. 6 months later, Imani stood on Min-jun's terrace, watching the sunset over Gwangali Beach, her hand unconsciously touching her head. Hair was growing back, short, tight curls that would take time to fully return, but growing. Dr. Park had declared her in remission 3 weeks ago. She'd survived. Behind her, the apartment door opened. "There's someone here to see you," Min-jun said, smiling in that rare, unguarded way he only did with her now. Imani turned. Her mother stood in the doorway, tears streaming down her face. "Mom? My baby." Her mother crossed the room in seconds, pulling Imani into a fierce hug. "My brave, stubborn, beautiful baby." "I don't understand." "Min-jun flew me here," her mother said, pulling back to cup Imani's face. "Called me last month, told me everything. The cancer, the treatment, how hard you'd been fighting alone." She glared at Imani lovingly. "Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't want to worry you while I was so far away." "And I didn't want to interfere," her mother interrupted, "while you were building a life here. But Min-jun convinced me you needed family around. So here I am, for 2 weeks, to cook for you, fuss over you, and meet this man who saved my daughter's life." Imani looked at Min-jun, who shrugged, expression soft. "You needed your mom," he said simply, "so I brought her here." Later that night, after Imani's mother had gone to the guest room, exhausted from travel, Imani found Min-jun on the terrace again. "Thank you," she said, wrapping her arms around him from behind. "For my mom, for everything. She needed to see you healthy." His hands covered hers. "And you needed to stop protecting everyone and let yourself be loved." They stood together, watching Busan's lights twinkle below. "I've been thinking," Imani said carefully, "about the future, about us. And I want to stay, in Busan, with you." She felt him tense. "If you'll have me, I know it's complicated and your world is dangerous, but—" Min-jun turned to face her, eyes intense. "Are you sure? Because if you stay, Imani, I'm not letting you go again, ever." "I'm sure," she smiled. "I spent 5 years running from the best thing that ever happened to me. I'm done running." "Then marry me." Imani's breath caught. "What?" "Marry me." Min-jun pulled a small box from his pocket. Not a ring box, but something else. "I bought this 5 years ago. The day I planned to tell you everything about my life and ask you to build a future with me. You left before I could." He opened the box. Inside was a delicate necklace, a dragon and a phoenix intertwined, Korean and American symbols merged together. "The dragon is me," Min-jun said quietly. "The phoenix is you, rising from ashes, surviving what should have destroyed you, becoming stronger. I had it made because even then, I knew you were my match, my equal, my forever." Tears streamed down Imani's face as he fastened the necklace around her throat. "So yes, I'm asking again." His hands cupped her face. "Marry me, Imani Brooks. Build an empire with me. Fight battles with me. Grow old with me. Choose me every day the way I choose you." "Yes," Imani whispered. "Yes, absolutely yes." He kissed her as fireworks exploded over Gwangali Beach. Some festival she didn't know about, perfectly timed, absolutely magical. When they finally broke apart, both laughing and crying, Min-jun pressed his forehead to hers. "No more running," he murmured. "No more running," Imani agreed. "From here on out, we face everything together." And beneath the fireworks, in the city where they'd found each other, lost each other, and found their way back, Kang Min-jun and Imani Brooks began writing their next chapter, together. And that's where our story ends, beautiful souls. Did that emotional journey wreck you the way it wrecked me? If you felt anything during this story, joy, heartbreak, hope, please hit that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment telling me, would you have forgiven Min-jun? Would you have stayed? What country are you listening from? I post stories like this every week, and I promise they only get better. So subscribe, turn on notifications, and join our growing family of story lovers from around the world. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. And remember, sometimes the person you're running from is exactly who you need to run toward. See you in the next story. I love you.